About that intro, huh? I'm starting to get into this techie stuff, starting to get into this podcasting world. Let me tell you how bad I am at technology. To get started, it might sound corny, but I don't know. I kind of liked it. Tell me what you think. Um, Again, I am your host, Ryan Wade. This is the Find Your Inner Strength podcast. And today we are going to look at how to start finding your inner strength so you can break through any mental, physical barrier, connect deeply with those around you, those who mean the most to you, and really crush those life goals, whatever it is. Inner strength, to me, is about achievement. It's not, health is not just, you know, slimming down, building muscle. Health is inner strength to me. And whether that is the strength of your mind, the strength of your body, the convictions of your beliefs, I think that all kind of plays a role. And today we're going to look at how to start finding that inner strength. Now, today's episode can get to be a little complex, I think, but I'm going to try to break it down as simply as I possibly can. So, let's get it kicking. What exactly is inner strength? When I think about it, I think that each of us has this inner voice, right? And there's kind of like the angel and the devil on the shoulder kind of thing. Your inner strength is the piece of you screaming inside with duct tape over its mouth. It's like, but that you should not settle for anything less than bliss in your life. We should reach and strive for what makes us truly complete. What is our meaning? Why are we put here? And what makes us want to continue, wake up every day with energy, with purpose? That's bliss. So inner strength is the piece of you screaming inside. It may have duct tape over its mouth, but we want to kind of figure out how to release it. It's that piece of you that holds the power of your immediate physiological reaction that shoots your energy down with the thought of you acting against your deepest core values. All right, so we can dive into what our core values, and I actually have a video of what our core values, but your core values, it can be you want to be a healthy person, but you eat a bowl of chips instead, right? That's working against your core values. It can be you want to be more productive, but you scroll social media for an hour instead and then say you didn't have time to go to the gym. Your core value can be you want to be confident, but you're constantly engaging in this negative self-talk, this negative dialogue in your brain, which again bottoms out your energy. You want to be a better parent, but you find yourself always impatient and yelling. When we work against our deepest core values, the values that make up who we are, that will eventually create this purpose to our life, when we work against that, bottoms out our energy immediately. When we settle, it's like steel rusting, right? It gets uglier, it deteriorates over time, it's dirty, it can cut you, and it ends with it all falling apart. But we all have this innate desire to learn and to grow, and we want our lives to be lived at the highest level, but our subconscious, it limits ourselves in our day-to-day lives kind of based on who we were, right? It's based on the stories we tell ourselves. Those stories, they are learned. They're not hardwired. That's something that we need to start to understand, is that the subconscious is a learned piece of when we were young. The subconscious it's grown throughout as we age, all right? The subconscious is sometimes referred to as the inner child, right? You might have heard that, the inner child. And it's the part of our brain that's primarily developed until around the part that puberty kind of does its job. And it's when we internalize the world based on the perceptions and the belief of the people who are molding our brain the most, the people who are around us the most, right? And so if you're watching the video element of this, I got like 3 Pac-Mans that are all facing each other, and it forms what looks like a white triangle, but there is no white triangle there. It is a story. Our mind wants to make sense of the things and the people around us as we are developing our belief systems. That's the subconscious. And this is the part that is where our deepest seated limiting beliefs happen. And the biggest issue with the subconscious is that we constantly grow and learn. And as we age, we're completely different people. We're different with our thoughts, we're different with our beliefs, we're different with our actions, and we become a completely different person than the people that helped us form these stories and that formed these deep-seated limiting beliefs that our subconscious holds on to. We grow, we learn, we develop, we achieve more. But that subconscious kind of stops growing at the same rate at the point that we hit that puberty point, right? And so we're a different person today, but we can really hold on with like a vice grip to those beliefs of the past, right? And so, let me tell you, this has been a huge point of emphasis for me in my personal development. If your subconscious plays the same story mine did, growing up in a family who didn't live under the same roof, it was okay to be angry. It was okay to feel like life was unfair. It was okay to blame other people for my situation. And it was my parents and the people, my support system around me knew that I had this deep-seated resentment, this deep-seated anger, and letting it out was applauded in certain ways, but no matter if it's negatively or positively, and you can definitely let it out in both. Just the fact that the narrative was that it was okay was the issue. And that was my story for an extremely long time until I learned to capture those stories in the moment when they came to my mind, when I felt the anxiety, the fear that is associated with the subconscious thoughts, right? That's associated with those untrue stories. And to gain the mindfulness and the insight that when that story was leading my actions instead of my conscious mind, instead of my growth-based mind, that was the point when I needed to make a change. And now, whenever I take these stories and I can recognize them, I can use them to my benefit. And that's really the beginning of finding your inner strength, is finding that untrue, limiting belief story that your subconscious mind is telling you. We all have them, right? Because we've all grown past the point that the subconscious mind develops at the same rate. And because these stories are the primary building block of your inner strength, but most people have strong, solid, emotional walls built around their inner strength. Because that story is associated with part of our life that's rooted in fear and anxiety. And it's what I call, the darkness, right? The darkness is this imposter of who we were. It is the limit that we place on our mind. It is everything that we strive to grow out of, and we can get stuck in that darkness for a long, long time if we are not constantly trying to push the boundaries and grow and achieve and develop who we are as a person, in your health, in your relationships, as a leader, as somebody who is simply trying to do the best for themselves. But the super awesome thing about the dark that I've got to learn is that, and sadly, the majority of the people don't realize this, is that the dark is simply an opposite, all right? And so you might say, well, yeah, what does that mean? An opposite is, dark is the opposite of light. Cool, whatever. But stay with me here. Opposites are not soul identities. Opposites are the other half of the whole. We wouldn't have opposites without the other half, right? Light wouldn't be perceived as light if it was the only thing. There has to be darkness to have lightness, right? There has to be good to have evil. There has to be active to have passive. There has to be heat to have cold. It's all yin and yang. It's two pieces of the same identity, right? And so when we can start to realize, as I go past this slide that has Austin Powers and Dr. Evil, again, same person, different identities, somewhere, there's a piece of you that desires to achieve more, and that is the other half. It is the piece with the duct tape over its mouth, screaming inside you to grow, despite how uncomfortable it is, despite how much you desire to reach that next level, be it with your health, be it with your job, be it with your finances, be it with your relationship with your kids, or with your company, or any piece that desires to grow more, but you feel like you're just subdued and that you're stuck in this one place. That is the other half inside of you screaming to come out, right? And just remember that it is not more. It is not something that you need to step so far out of yourself to become. It is already there inside of you. It is the rest of what is inside you. And some people teach to ignore the ego. Some will teach you to be 100%, 110% of your ego. But, I like the teaching of creating an alter ego, right? Creating the other half, really bringing out the other half of yourself, the yang to your yin. And we look at self-improvement as taking a giant leap a lot of the times, right? But what if we're not jumping at all, right? What if it's not a giant leap to grow and to achieve and to take the next step? What if we're just walking across a bridge, right? What if we don't have to jump from side to side? What if we just have to walk across something that's already there? Right? But, maybe the bridge kind of has a caution sign over the top of it. It feels uncomfortable. Well, maybe we need to start to put the pieces back together so that we can just simply walk across it. I don't think it's too far-fetched a thought to think that that is where achievement lies, given that two opposites are a whole, and that an identity is not a standalone. It is the other half of who we are, the one that we just have a harder time seeing. Right? And so from who we are to becoming the rest of who we are requires us to create some new beliefs and some new goals, right? And so, if you want to stop drinking, smoking, eating unhealthy, going to bed too late, yelling at your kids, procrastinating, talking to yourself negatively, having that negative internal dialogue, being so lazy, being scared, right? So I can't tell you how many of these things I've had to overcome personally. I am fully transparent about the fact that I have had to really focus along the years of developing better mental health, and that I teach because I struggle with anxiety and depression and mental health issues, right? So yes, I have personally fallen back on drinking and smoking and eating unhealthy and going to bed too late. And yes, unfortunately, yelling at my kids, who are the entire world to me, right? But when we start taking the little steps, and really these things all play together, they're all interconnected. They're all us being a lower version of ourselves. But, we can start taking the steps forward when we stop procrastinating and start talking to ourselves in a more positive light. We can also set goals to start doing things depending on how your brain works and how you think that you can achieve best and how you want to frame it in your mind, And so if you want to start eating more veggies or working out or promoting yourself more or being more assertive or spending more time with the people you love, or it says limiting your natural creativity, start expanding your natural creativity, then you can begin to do these things, right? Just take that one simple step forward. I think the simplest thing you can do is to think about all the things that you want to achieve. And there's like that achievement question, something along the lines of, what's the 20% of the work that'll get 80% of the results, or what's the one thing you can do today that'll make everything else less or irrelevant, or, but what I also like to start to do is just look at something that, no matter how small it is, if you feel stuck, it takes less than 2 minutes, and just do that, right? Start breaking inertia. Start getting yourself out of the comfort level. It takes a little bit of blind faith and thankfulness that other half is in you to start to cross the bridge to finding that inner strength, towards finding that other half to yourself. Maybe you want to continue to do some other things that you're already doing, right? Or you want to do less of some other things, right? So look at your goals and start to form them around and see what feels best between stopping, starting, continuing, doing more of, and doing less of, right? Start looking at the ways to think differently about what you already do, the current state of your habits, to start thinking differently about who you want to become, right? We are looking for the other half, so we need to look through different lenses than the one that we've been looking out of and the one that comes natural to us. All of these, no matter what label you put on them, are desires to bring out the highest level, to live the highest level of our life. You just have to break down those subconscious walls, and those things can be SK strong. That's something I've used over the years to explain not just something that is strong, but it is SK strong. It is the things that are like solid wall. You got to start to break that thing down, and it may start with a little chisel. Like it might just be paint chipping off at the beginning, right? But as we learn more, we start to realize we have bigger tools at our disposal. And your inner strength is what is behind those walls. It is worth it, guys. It is worth it to start to find the other half. It is worth it to start to look out the other lens, no matter how uncomfortable, no matter how much you feel resistance towards the action you are taking, no matter how much you feel your energy, start to get fearsome, start to worry, start to feel anxious. Think about the things that you do that you want to become and when you work against that value. So again, going back to the parenting example, because it's something that I found myself doing, is that whenever I got home from work, I wanted to be present. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to show my kids that they deserve a happy father, right? But a lot of the times, I'd come home tired, I'd come home stressed, and I would sit on a chair and, find myself becoming impatient with them. And when that happens, it bottoms out your energy, what little I may have had left. And, it was because I was already starting to do things that were working against my values by working maybe a little too late to work on the business that I want to create to be a provider for them. So there, you got to kind of weigh where you want to be and where is your happiness, where is the level that you need to become, but never work in opposition of your values, because that's whenever you feel your brain energy drop to your heart, your heart energy drop to your gut energy drop to your feet, and it just continues to just flow out of you. And at that point, that is when we are at our lowest self. We want to keep that energy high in our head and in our heart, and have just have the feeling that we can be bold in our gut, right? I always look at the gut, the heart, and the head as, if those things are in alignment, I am really starting to make progress. When you find that progress, when you find that alignment of your values, when you find the right way for you to frame your goals, and when you find the first step of that action, that's whenever you're starting to unleash your potential. And that's when you start to live your life at the highest level. And that is when you start to find your inner strength. So I try to keep these pods short. I try to keep them concise. I hope today was not a little too complex. I know that mental strength is something that you got to have some imagery towards. I'm working on getting better at that in this podcast. I hope you stick with me, and I hope that was really beneficial to you. Questions can be sent to me, Ryan at innerstrengthpgh.com. Real quick, thank you to our sponsors, the OptiLife Academy, OptiLifeAcademy.com, the do-it-yourself fitness, nutrition, and stress management course for those who maybe can't get to your local personal trainer, dietitian, life coach, health coach, whatever it may be. Maybe you're traveling a lot and you just can't get the time to make that special appointment. Everyone deserves the opportunity to find their inner strength, and the OptiLife Academy does that by helping you do it on your own. Also, our friends at Case-Specific Nutrition. We are the proud West location of Case-Specific Nutrition here in Pittsburgh, PA. I thank Case-Specific Nutrition for their ongoing support. Thank you all of you out there in listener land. I love you. I appreciate you. Let's continue on this journey together. I'm so excited to share the things that I've been able to learn to make that brain body connection and really start attacking the things that hold us back so you can reach the pinnacle of, be it your health, your leadership, your performance on or off the field, the court, the boardroom, wherever it may be. I'm here for you. Again, this is Ryan Wade. You can find me on Instagram at Ryan Wade, FYIS, Find Your Inner Strength. YouTube, some combination of the Ryan Wade, Find Your Inner Strength, you'll find me. Find me on Facebook, Ryan Wade, FYIS, Find Your Inner Strength. And let's kick it, guys. Good luck. Reach out if you need anything. I really, truly mean it.